Hello, and we're actually back in studio rather than joining you from over Zoom. It is your favourite podcast ever, well, not the PolitiBabble, just PolitiBabble. I'm Archibald Elliott, and I'm joined by
Brisha Shaw,
Samro,
and we're here for our catch-up session. We've been conked out by COVID-19, like all of you guys here on the islands. We've
conked
had,
real hard.
6 weeks in lockdown, and we're finally back here.
COVID really conked me this time.
I am all out of conks, guys.
Yeah. So we're going to catch up because, we don't know when we're actually next going to be here. We've got some rather worrying news this morning with some more community cases, even though Howard assured us we were absolutely safe. So
It's not like he's done that before.
No.
Do enjoy this episode for what could be a while.
Yeah. Conkers are back up.
So how have you guys been keeping the past few weeks?
The silence is so loud.
I've been live, laugh, loving life, I've really lived it to the max in my house, doing nothing. And then I went for a walk a couple times.
That does sound good. Walks definitely kept me going through lockdown.
And then I worked through the pandemic because I'm a #key worker. Yeah. Hold your applause. No, but seriously, respect to all the actual key workers out there. I feel so bad being like...
ShopRite be like...
I feel so bad being like, I'm a key worker when there's like actually people like,
No,
nurses and stuff.
It's important.
But like,
Everything's
technically
important.
I am a key worker.
So like, key worker for the clout. Let's not deny.
But yeah.
No.
Pulled it, yeah.
Huge respect. No, and it's just British. I'm sure everyone else works hard.
Yeah, I carried ShopRite during the pandemic. It's true.
Mm.
When I was off that weekend because we thought Philip had COVID, really the whole thing just fell down.
It just collapsed. Yeah.
Collapsed without me. But yeah, that's fun. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, it was good.
That's nice.
The long sigh.
That's pretty much it. And by good, I mean bad, but,
And by bad, I mean terrible.
By bad, I mean I almost cried every time I got work set. And it'd be Monday morning.
Actually, what I wanted to talk about was how did you guys find online school? Because we go to two different
To be
schools.
honest, a lot of the time I didn't. That was kind of the problem.
It was so weird because some subjects were like setting work regularly, which I kind of liked, and then not the work, but like the fact that they were consistent, and then others were just like, hey, do some work, but we're not going to check it.
I must say, this lockdown was so much better than the previous lockdown.
Yeah.
The previous lockdown, my maths, I got like three times the amount of workload I usually get in the subject area. But this lockdown, it was quite consistent throughout.
Yeah.
I had a good lockdown on as good as you can get.
Yeah.
On online.
I definitely
school.
feel like this one was, better in air quotes.
It's more well managed.
Still bad, but not as bad as some of the others.
Because I feel like we kind of, I feel like especially for us, because we were in year 11 last year, we didn't get any work set, So last lockdown was kind of our first lockdown that we actually had to do anything.
Yeah.
So
We had 6 months off last time.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And that's why we started this. So hope you enjoyed the 6 months off. You got the best podcast you could find.
Or not find.
Or not find. If you haven't found this already, or you're listening now, you should leave us a subscribe. Yeah.
Yes.
Smash that subscribe button.
Drop a like, follow us on all the socials, send us an email.
Is it at PolitiBabble?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Is that what
PolitiBabble@gmail.com. Very, very simple.
Yeah,
Gmail.
email us in.
Yeah.
Email us. Tweet in your suggestions.
Yeah, so we've...
Let us know how your conks are.
Well, I must say, I did find there's a pretty funny video the other day. Sam actually, for once, shares my humour in this. And it's the Labour leader, Keir Starmer, getting kicked out of the pub. It wasn't the fact he's kicked out of the pub. That was kind of not the hilarious point. It was more his facial expression as he was put out. It was like a naughty kid in class who was just embarrassed that he'd been...
When you first watch the video, you don't know why.
Yeah.
But watching it, it was like he'd been caught on a night out boozer, and like this guy was like, "You've had enough, get out."
Why was he kicked out?
The guy wasn't being aggressive though. He was just
really wanted him out.
Really wanted him out of the pub.
There's two narratives. One, I've heard people say it's because he doesn't like what Keir Starmer's done with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And then some people were saying it's because Well, a few people were saying it's because the guy didn't support lockdown, but that wasn't Keir Starmer
Starmer's
who did
idea,
it.
yeah.
I
Well,
think he doesn't
support
like.
it,
I think he
didn't
just doesn't like Keir Starmer.
It was Keir Starmer's handling of it. He just didn't like.
So it was
Yeah,
something
it
to
was
do with
about Keir
Keir Starmer. He
Starmer,
just didn't
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so he kicked him out. But it
I
was
mean, mood, but like,
yeah, but it was what it was, I suppose. But yeah, very.
get out my pub.
I mean, it is. That's a fitting depiction of how the British people have reacted to Keir Starmer.
Any
That's a-
politician really.
That's like a
recently.
20.
Yeah.
Well, is it? What's he on now? 29.
29. When I last
29%.
checked, Labour was on 29 compared
that's-
to the Tories. At least like
I think they're
43,
20 points.
44.
I think.
It depends which poll
Yeah.
you look at.
Yeah,
Really.
they're almost. I think in some polls they're as much as 20 points behind, and it's interesting because I remember a few months into Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, the Tories and Labour were even, so they were matched in the polls, and Keir Starmer with like a group of his sort of centrist wing of Labour all resigned from the shadow cabinet because they said he wasn't doing good enough. So it's just And now if anyone so much as suggests Keir's not doing a good job, they get told they're betraying the Labour Party. It's interesting. Swings and roundabouts, you know.
I mean, they elected him as leader,
You know.
so it's their own fault. You made your bed, lie in it.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it'll be interesting to see what
Well,
happens.
I agree with you, Brisha. So there we are.
It might be
Makes you want to watch the Labour Party crumble.
I mean, it's a sad thing for me, but it's perhaps, you know, who knows
The
what.
Labour Party's
Perhaps a
doing
new
my job.
party will maybe I'll talk about a new political party.
Oh, there was an interesting quote related to
UKIP?
Labour. I can't remember who. It was one of the old Conservative leaders who said it, but it's kind of how the Conservative Party. It's probably Thatcher. But it's how the Conservative Party had already kind of stayed on the right of politics, and they weren't bending to the left's will, kind of to move there. But instead, under like Blair and Gordon Brown, the left had bent towards the right.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's always.
true.
I think it's always useful to have those very clear, defined parties in a way. You don't want them very close because they're just close. It gets really confusing. What you're voting for.
I have to. I'm inclined to agree. Actually, I think because if you are, there are some people who will vote Labour no matter what. That's just an unavoidable fact. But
Would
if you are,
vote Labour now, Sam?
You threw that.
Depends where I was. Depends where I was. If I was
If you
in,
were
if I was in Wales, no, I'd vote Plaid Cymru in Wales. If I was in Scotland, I'd vote SNP. If I was in Northern Ireland, I'd vote Sinn Féin. If I was in Vahugan, oh, we're gonna get. Anyway, sorry, Sinn Féin. I would only vote Labour if I was in like a contested area in England. If I was in somewhere like that was a safe Labour seat, so if I was in like a part of London, I'd vote Green.
But the thing is, if you vote, because everyone's going to be like, oh, this is a safe Labour seat, so then no one's going to vote Labour.
No.
Therefore, Labour will lose their seat.
That's what they thought in the last election. The blue wall smashed. The blue
exactly.
wrecking ball was smashing through.
Yeah, it was the red wall, wasn't it, originally? And
Yeah,
then
like Boris on his bulldozer with "Get Brexit Done."
makes me more think of Boris, you know, when he's on that
Oh, yeah,
suspended
that's
wire,
suspended
just
wire,
charging.
just through. Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I can't be like it's looking good for the Labour Party because it's not. But
we don't lie on this podcast.
Bring him.
Unless it's Archie asking us if we like him.
Anyway, next point.
Is that why you always say no?
Yes, that's why we
got
say
it,
no,
got it.
Archie.
Just
Yeah.
can't admit how much
but
we like.
There was in the Scottish elections coming up May the 6th, so like the whole country obviously.
So's the
Laws.
London Mayor.
London Mayor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I must say I do quite enjoy how the YouTubers are running.
Yes.
So which YouTuber are you rooting for?
Max Fosh.
There we
100%.
go.
I've been a Max Fosh fan for about a year now.
Oh, same here. #FishFashFosh.
Max Fosh
Yeah.
is running to beat Lawrence
Fox.
Lawrence. No.
Is
Yeah,
Lawrence
Lawrence Fox.
Fox.
Yes. Lawrence Fox.
Oh, he got lawrencefox.org
Yeah.
as his manifesto on it.
Because
yeah.
they
Good
both,
luck to him.
They both went to Harrow, and Lawrence Fox is a representative for the Reclaim Party. So,
Has £5 million funding and Max
Yeah.
Fosh is 0.
and
it's quite
they
impressive.
both
Hard to call.
have 1% in the polls at the moment.
But the bookies have a higher
chance of
Max Fosh.
Fosh winning.
winning.
Yeah. And then there's
Well,
Nico,
that'll be a race to watch, ladies and gentlemen. Make
Nico
sure you.
Almilano, something like that. He's also running. He's also a YouTuber.
Not as much as a fan of him. No.
Yeah, I genuinely had never heard of him until Max.
How about you, Sam?
For the
Yeah.
Scotland elections or the
Sadiq's
London
No,
elections?
For our YouTubers.
Oh. I hope the good one wins. I'll be honest, I hadn't been following the 1%ers of the London election
What
poll very
about
hard.
Count Binface? Is this his time?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
I do quite like Sean Bailey though. Yeah.
Is
well,
he not an
serious
actor?
folk.
Is he not an actor?
No, he's a. I don't think so. No.
Hang
I
on,
feel like there's an actor.
I have
called Sean
seen
Bailey.
a ridiculous.
No, I'm thinking
amount
of the guy from The
adverts.
Chase.
But I must say, I'm not personally a fan of Sadiq Khan.
No.
I mean, he's the best one there, I think, probably. Here,
Have
Brian
you seen
Rose.
Count Binface.
Brian Rose is an interesting one.
Brian Rose is a scary, scary man.
Yeah, I think it will probably return Sadiq Khan as mayor.
It
Unfortunately, in my opinion, but
Sure,
the polls currently show Sadiq Khan and kind of Sean Bailey vying for that.
I'll be surprised if Sadiq. I mean, elections can be surprising.
If you
but
go to
surprised.
polls,
I mean,
Sadiq
we all
44% or
So
something
it
to
would-
19%.
It would take a pretty dramatic shift
Yeah.
for London to elect someone else. But so Brian Rose, I've seen so many adverts for him, and I couldn't quite place the name, but I just checked it, and he's sort of a anti-lockdown, far-right American.
King.
Ooh, I guess I'm trying to think how to place him.
Radicalist?
His style just I don't think fits very well in terms of British political sphere.
I feel like
runs
he's
it
more
like it's-
shouty rather than dewy kind of thing.
Yeah, he's a
And,
man of rhetoric, and he runs it. It reminds me of in WWE when they have those they have film moments of between the cats. That's how he acts.
Yeah.
It's like it's a reality TV show, but he's a scary dude.
Oh, but the Scottish election coming up. There's interesting kind of. There's quite a few parties vying for regional seats, which aren't necessarily your main MSPs.
Albert is a big new one. That's
the new
formed.
one from Alex Salmon,
Alan Salmon.
which is vying to create an independent supermajority, which I don't see why. If he wants a supermajority, they would be voting with SNP anyway.
The thing, it's
splitting the
the
vote.
Alba aren't really going to achieve much. The whole reason behind Alba, it's a very personal thing. It's because Alex Salmons doesn't like Nicola Sturgeon because he lost the case against her, and he has something to. It's a purely ego thing.
No, but then I think it's more because Nicola Sturgeon really hates Alex Salmon, and Alex just wants to get back at Nicola.
I think I will
because Nicola Sturgeon was trying to get just failed miserably in her parliamentary stuff. It was
because she was
Alex
found.
Salmon case.
Because there was that whole thing of did she act unlawfully, and it was found that she didn't.
Yeah, but it's an interesting.
It is because, and what's interesting is the initial investigation, which was actually just a council, which was all old white men who were friends of Alex Salmons, said that she had. And then when the actual investigation was done, they found that there was little to no evidence suggesting she'd actually done anything regarding that, and that none of it was illegal.
But I did find her. However, that went, which is obviously didn't find she did anything wrong, so she didn't do anything wrong in the eyes of the Parliament. I did find her evidence to the Parliament quite interesting because she had a lot of. I'm not sure. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know, and it's kind of she didn't know on a lot of things.
Well, I think this is the difference you see, because when obviously Boris Johnson has said very similar things, he was found to have acted illegally in misled the Queen, if you recall. And what he did when that happened is he went out and he would say, I've done nothing wrong. I'm absolutely certain. But I think Nicola Sturgeon understands that it is possible that simply on the virtue of being a politician doesn't mean you're an expert on every act. So I think she was aware that if it was found she did something illegal, she would have to accept the consequences of that. And so she was acknowledging that. But personally for me, I would much prefer a politician who goes, I mean, we'll see what the legal proceedings say, rather than a politician who's like, oh, I've done fine, and then is found to be committed a crime.
I quite like a politician with
Wouldn't be like Boris.
Conviction, where they
They're an
have
actor.
it's kind of they have conviction for what they do. But interestingly, going back to the parties which are vying for the regional seats,
sure,
there's a Scottish family party which I find quite interesting. Have you seen it?
Families, isn't it?
Have you seen it?
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't really. I mean, it's not going to do much.
I find them quite interesting.
What are
from the
do they have any
family.
like policies? Like,
See, the thing
we
is,
want everyone
they'll
to
either be really
happy.
good or really, really awful.
I just find it very interesting how they're kind of running on kind of a family platform, getting maybe more.
They're banning abortions to make families.
Hang on, I've got that manifesto up here. Here we go.
In the meantime,
They're not like, because I
okay.
know there was their flag is eerily similar to the Russian straight pride flag, and it's and I am getting a little bit concerned.
Are they like a
Well, that's-
religious?
But see, this is what I'm wondering.
Youth
Family
group
autonomy,
or
the family.
something.
They more believe
Or-
that they're thinking that families are kind of the building blocks to
Of
society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
you know, I
agree
think
with,
we can agree on because they.
Families make up the majority. of
Families are important.
Everyone,
sure.
Unfortunately or fortunately, has a family.
Well, the thing is, regardless how that family made up, it's kind of the starting ground
Yeah.
for any sort of society.
Oh,
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing, well, they start off by saying family is a private thing, which to me, and even though the picture, that implies to me that a family is what a family determines itself to be. So if it's a family with two dads and, children, that's
Yeah.
fine, or two mums or whatever. I hope that's what it is. I'm not going to spend ages pouring through it, but
No, I don't think they won't have major swing in anything. I just thought it's interesting. These new
They
parties
hate the gays.
Well, yeah.
these new parties are popping up to kind of vie for certain issues, which I
Yeah.
think is quite interesting. Seeing our political sphere being moved. I don't think it currently can move away from two parties very easily, but we might suddenly see it transform into a more European state where they have to make coalitions. I think the Scottish Parliament's quite a good example of that because there's been a coalition for quite a while.
No, totally. I think as well, the inevitable. So say for a real possibility, say Labour schisms or is just replaced by a collection of like centre left and left wing parties, as is kind of similar in say Germany or France. What you see happen in those countries is naturally there'll be a period of like conservative dominance, and then that itself will schism because the conservative different factions will feel that they are comfortable enough to split and separate, and so inevitably it breaks down. And then if you've got that, if you have a European style, I don't know. I think that could be good.
But
I
we
think-
left
I think-
the EU, Sam.
That's true. We physically pushed our island away from Europe.
We're no longer on the Eurasian continent, of course
No.
not. No. But I do find it quite interesting. I think it's interesting you say kind of there's been there's usually a long stint of conservative rule and then Labour. It has been quite evident in British politics. You see
Brings up the pendulum,
Conservatives like Thatcher had won 3 elections, then Major, and then you had Tony Blair won like 3 elections, then
Yeah.
Gordon Brown, who didn't win his election. But
What a
then,
shame.
Poor Gordon.
Crying.
But then it went to kind of conservative again since 11 years of conservative. So in theory, if you followed the trends, it would fall back into Labour hands.
It
But
does seem a bit like they've fallen off the pendulum.
but it doesn't seem like that at the moment. So we've kind of broken this quite usual
I think
TikTok.
I saw a really interesting, I think it was one of those political cartoons, and it was of the pendulum swinging, but the thing was they would whack into the wall, and each of them had cracks in them and stuff, and so it was a case of who can do it the most. And it is looking like Labour's in a bit of trouble. In theory, there shouldn't be an election until 2024.
No.
So
However,
They are cracking. I think Labour is definitely cracking at the moment.
yeah.
totally,
in some
I
way.
can't deny that.
There was
So
interesting
Keir-
that they're saying that under Corbyn, kind of the Labour was again divided, but it appears that Keir has again kept that divide because they've not created they've not got a central figure who's neither the further right of the party nor further left of the party. They've got someone who was on arguably the further right of the party and kind of almost alienated the Corbynites.
I think what Keir Starmer fundamentally gambled on is because he took a really, really harsh line of, because he's always been, you can see throughout his career, he sort of acted on the idea of fast moving. If you don't agree with it, leave and then hope it crumbles. If you're in charge of it, get rid of the elements or weaken the elements you don't like and hope they fall in line. And so what he's done is he's gambled on his image as a bit of a kind of, strong man, serious,
He's a big
powerful leader to kind of quickly just force the Corbynites in line. And then, but I mean, when you think of Keir Starmer, I think he's gambled on the idea that the British people will see him as a strong, solid leader and someone who they can unite
I
behind.
don't think there are any politicians in Parliament at the moment that I think are, you know, stereotypically like strong men, strong leaders. Like
even Boris, I said I agree with you. He does. He does
I
kind
thought
of
you were
bend.
like, even Boris? I was like, he's the main buffoon.
And that's the thing, because I think he actively tries to make himself seem like a bit of an idiot.
Well, that he does.
Yeah.
He does.
I feel
That's
like
quite
that's
accepted.
because he's like the common man, you know, he's a bit of a large lad, like
What was it? I want to get that quote he said about working
like, mate,
people
you
in
went
Britain.
to Eton. You cannot relate to Gaz
when he was like, I make models of cardboard buses.
Yeah.
I must say,
I cooked dinner last night.
Steak and chips.
Yeah. he does have more.
That is what the common people eat.
He has more conviction, I think, than Starmer.
Yeah.
But again, they've not. I haven't seen a figure. I quite like Johnny Mercer actually. I just saw the news. He resigned from the government because he had a red line. He kind of stuck by his principles and said, "I've said in Parliament this many times we will be including the protections for Northern Ireland veterans in our bill. I've said that in the ballot box several times. I'm not going back on my promises I've made." So I will resign. That's my red line. And I think that I applaud that.
It is interesting that kind of conviction
Exists.
Can't coexist with the Conservative Party.
Well,
I mean, I don't even mean that that's not me being like trying to attack you specifically. That's just what happened. He had that and he had to leave.
Well, no, it's more he went against the leadership and collective agreement. He has to leave.
Sure, stand by what I said.
He didn't leave the party. He just left government.
Sure.
But I think that's kind of what, at least I think politics they'll be looking for now, kind of a leader with conviction to kind of lead with strength through kind of the next election probably.
Yeah, this is just to kind of wrap up. I have this. This is a quote. I know we wanted to bring in quotes more. This was Boris Johnson in 1995. He wrote that working class men are likely to be drunk, criminal, aimless, feckless, and hopeless.
The working man.
The working man, Boris Johnson. Thank you for that, Bojo.
Bruce, you want to talk about those Dutch politicians? Because I've not heard anything about.
Ladies and gentlemen,
strap
yourself in.
So take it away, Bruce. Take it away.
So there are these two Dutch politicians. Now, when I first saw the first ship video edit thing on my TikTok For You page, I was like, oh, these two gay men, you know, having a little fun time. I did think it was a reality show, like some foreign show. And then there were loads of these Dutch people being like, I can't believe you guys are shipping. Rob Jetten and Jesse Klaver are two politicians. And then I googled it, and it turns out that they are two Dutch politicians who are very happily in love, both married or like with separate people. However, I don't support cheating of any kind unless it is of these two getting together.
I think they're platonic soulmates.
Yes, platonic soul. They're so cute. It's actually like, we all love a good enemies to lovers story.
They weren't enemies.
They weren't enemies.
But like, they're from two different political parties, and now they're lovers.
That proves there's more to life than politics.
Yes.
Yes.
They
Doesn't
are...
it just? To be fair, they're both like left wing.
Yeah.
politicians.
Also, one of them posted the one that's in a civil partnership with his boyfriend, the gay one.
Smooth.
Reposted a TikTok of someone shipping them together or whatever, and then put like, make sure I can't remember the one who's married and has kids, but make sure his wife doesn't find out or something like that. And I was like, oh, so cute, so funny. But yeah,
that's beautiful.
That's what was your thing that you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to talk
which
about
I've never
Nip.
heard about. So go ahead.
I'm sure everyone listening has heard of Nip, but just
Not
in case
in this
anyone
podcast.
hasn't,
Me.
it is the newly formed and already off to a surprisingly good start Northern Independence Party.
I know it outside of its abbreviated term.
There we go. So the Northern
yes.
Independence Party, which if you don't know, I would encourage you to go look up. It's a very interesting group, and the people who run it have great names. But yeah, so basically this is a group of people who have decided that in their eyes, the only way of addressing the economic inequality in England is to form an independent state that can address local issues, and that can have local issues be addressed by Northerners. And I have to say, I'd vote for him. I'd do that.
So is it like having a mayor of the North type thing, or having its own country?
No, making it Northumbria as the country.
Yeah. So it's
I'm
kind of cool.
I mean, it worked with Northern Ireland.
It's not yet registered, interestingly, but
it has registered. It's applied to register for the main thing. It's just pending.
It's awaiting registration.
Yeah.
Interesting. I must say, I do quite like the slogan.
Which one? Because we
can't read out the slogan, unfortunately, but it is pretty good.
Why can't we read out the slogan?
Just to avoid the broadcast code conundrum.
Right. Okay, no, that makes sense.
Good. But I must say, it's interesting. It exists. Oh, there's also it reminds me quite a lot of the Yorkshire Party, which calls for a Yorkshire Parliament. Interesting, if you go back to about 1460s, 1480s, they had a Council of the North, which is kept through Edward V's reign, Richard III's reign, and kind of back to Henry Tudor. And had Council of the North to rule over the North as kind of almost a separate region. So that, I guess that's something which historically has been done.
And there's been a lot of calls, pretty serious calls as well, throughout more recent British history for a devolved Parliament of the North. And it's just which hasn't been recognised, obviously.
Ooh, but there have been plans. I think the Treasury is moving lots. They're moving the civil service out of London.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, a while ago, Boris Johnson said he wanted to set up a second Houses of Parliament in York. He had a plan, but then that got scrapped. So I think
it could have been Dominic Cummings with that plan. I can't remember.
I think Boris. They're the same person.
Sorry, it was Dominic Cummings' plan.
It was Dominic Cummings' plan, but Boris Johnson was the one who said it. But I think that's been scrapped. But yeah, they are.
They're moving stuff. Rishi announced it in the budget. I think Rishi Sunak.
There is definitely, you can tell, a real panic from people in London, because it's looking more and more likely that Scotland will leave. The SNP are on poll to get a majority. Yeah. If they get a majority, Boris Johnson has said they can get another independence referendum.
No, he didn't say that.
He did.
No, he said we couldn't rule out not giving them, but he doesn't want one.
Well,
he didn't say we would.
Let me put it to you like this: if the SNP win a majority, they will just hold another referendum. That's sort of Boris Johnson.
The thing is, I don't think they need another referendum, because people are voting for the SNP to
there's
get
more.
them out
there's
of
more
the...
to the SNP than the independents.
I think the main reason,
and also independence is
key.
According to the poll, it's the main. There's
They're
very few
literally
people
called
who
the
vote for
Scottish National Party.
There's very few people who are like, I'm gonna vote SNP, and then are like, whoa.
What do you mean you guys want to leave the UK?
But I pose an interesting question along the SNP lines. If you look at Scotland now, kind of the failings in healthcare, failings in education, kind of the recovery from COVID, do you think independence is the most important issue?
That is an interesting question.
Because however much I could sympathise with a referendum,
it would be easy to say, there are more pressing kind of issues. But I also think if you look historically at independence movements, you could always argue there were more pressing issues. Yeah. And long term, a lot of the reasons for Scotland's issues it faced, not all, but a lot, is that it hasn't been able to take full control, arguably, of its economic matters, of its political matters. Now, you just... That's just a fact.
Interestingly, along with that, Scotland has control over its taxation, Scotland has control over its finance, Scotland has control over its education, and Scotland has control over its healthcare. It's not working.
I'm putting it out there, Archie, though. Are you saying, though, that so Westminster doesn't have any influence? So they're already independent?
No. They have a devolved state. And I think the benefit, in my personal view, the benefits of being in that union, if they wanted more further devolved powers, I think I could agree with that.
I could rattle off a load of issues. Don't have trade being forced out of the largest global market ever, the European Union. They... forced to have nuclear weapons that the Scottish people overwhelmingly don't want. Don't have proper self-maintenance.
Scottish people don't want weapons?
I know, it's amazing. oil. That's a huge issue
Yeah.
that they haven't been able to take
Speaking of
advantage
oil,
of.
I'm gonna swerve. Have you guys watched Seaspiracy? Archie, have you watched
I
it?
haven't. No.
You're a vegetarian, aren't you?
Yes,
You'll be
but
big.
yeah.
Are you a vegetarian because of the climate, or just because that's just your choice?
Both.
Do you eat fish?
No, I don't eat. That's pescatarian. I'm vegetarian, pretty sure.
It's a fact.
How
There are
dare you?
some people say
No,
they're vegetarian.
pescatarian are the ones that only eat fish.
No,
aren't
they eat fish. They don't eat meat, but they eat fish.
Oh,
And everything
I
else.
thought it was they only eat
No,
fish.
but vegetarians, they don't eat meat. They don't
Oh,
eat
okay.
meat, no.
Well, apparently, like, it's crazy that obviously, like, I watched it and then I did my own research to kind of back it up because there are a few dodgy documentaries on Netflix because they just give them to anyone. But it's crazy. They kill like 30,000 sharks. It's either a minute or an hour. Either way, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that interestingly there were the claim that oceans will be virtually empty by 2048.
That one is a bit skeptical.
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
I think Telegraph and BBC did quite a good fact check on it. There were some issues that were.
Yeah, I think the weird one for me was the fact that the fishermen in Japan were just killing dolphins because they eat all the seafood or something like that, which is just crazy.
I can see there's definitely a problem with fishing around the world.
Yeah, overfishing
and kind of the pollution in the ocean is terrifying, and that's kind of something we've dealt with. I think some of the facts within it, from what I've read, are questionable, but
that's like with everything.
But again, it's supposed to be there to make the impact to say, actually, if you shock people, they're more likely to do a little, but if you don't shock anyone, they're more likely to do absolutely nothing, just continue as they are. So in my book, it's better to be shocked and appalled and do something radical in ways kind of this way to do it. Oh, but going off climate, I guess you saw the new UK plans, which if you look at the island, our plans are nowhere near as ambitious. The UK is going to they're putting in legislation now to create legally binding 78% reduction from 1990 figures by 2035, which I think is pretty commendable. It'd be the world leading target, I think, or one of the world leading.
Yeah.
I think the Isle of Man government needs to do more. You know, we've said it time again.
I think universally governments across the world.
I was going to say, well, we should try and organise another climate strike, but I was going to send the message like today or tomorrow. But then the news hit of our joyful COVID situation.
I was actually thinking about last night. I bet Archie be putting something in the works.
Yeah, because I thought we had the UK announcement yesterday. I thought, well, why aren't the Isle of Man says, well, the UK is not doing it, we can't do it, we're not possible. And now the UK said we're doing it. Why can't we?
Running out of excuses. Also, I just checked, and 68% of Scottish tax goes to the UK.
Well, yeah, but the UK does also pay a lot of money into Scottish.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Deficits.
I encourage you to go look it up yourself.
Scotland, if you want to be free, sister. I'm not going to stop you.
We stand.
Work, girl.
Work.
Right, so Northern Ireland and Scotland are gonna become independent. I think that's kind of
it does. It seems
very much likely, especially
looking at it from a disimpassioned historical perspective. That would seem to be the suggested course we're on.
Do you think Wales will ever leave?
I don't think there's not as a big mandate.
I mean,
Wales.
But the thing is,
if you take Plaid Cymru, I wonder what
it would just be like England and Wales then in the UK.
Yeah,
I feel like
historically, if you go back before the Union was formed at about 1630, it was England and Wales were kind of the first two, and then Scotland and
Ireland. I feel like there's no point in having a united kingdom if it's just two people. You know what I mean?
It's just two people.
That's like.
Well, you think about the kingdoms of England. You have the counties, which are were ruled over.
Yeah.
But interestingly, there's Scotland. Then, if they leave, Nicola Sturgeon wants to rejoin the EU, but keep the spot. There's not a clear.
I mean, this is the
deal.
thing. This is what really interesting is the idea that being in the EU means you're not an independent country.
No, I mean, I said she wants to rejoin the EU, but she wants to keep the pound.
But she wants to be independent.
Keep the pound, and she wants to kind of have stuff which the EU now. If you join the EU, you have to take the euro, and she doesn't want to take the euro.
I think what the EU has said though is that they would be. I think it was head of the EU, one of the many EU commissions said that. They recognise Scotland is unique in the case because in the eyes of the EU, Scotland as a country had a status within the EU that it has existed for years, and then it was forced out by, English and Welsh voters.
Yeah.
Kind of against their will.
Which is
true.
If you look at the
so
voting
they've
records.
kind of suggested that, and I also think as well, internationally, that's a huge win for the EU if
If they can get
if
Scotland.
leaving the EU breaks the United Kingdom and part of it joins back. So I'd be inclined to suggest there'll probably be very favourable terms to Scotland if they choose to. I don't think they would treat it as the same as they would say
I suppose
Ukraine or
again,
like
it depends. Some countries like Ukraine might say, "Well, no, I've joined having to do this," and they can veto it. It's very complicated to join. It takes many years usually.
I think two things. I think the European community is one pretty they have lots of divisions, but they're pretty united in their disapproval of Britain and its handling of Brexit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as well, I don't think any member states in the European Union would be so unreasonable as to argue that Scotland isn't in a unique position.
Yeah.
And a unique position would surely mandate unique treatment.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if anyone took a very petty stance and was like, no, I have to have it.
Oh, true.
That would be
Well,
shocking.
the EU might like to make an example of Britain because Britain did it.
But it's not.
It's all complicated.
Honestly,
it's not
the only EU
Scotland's
country
fault.
that might have ever done that would have been the
Brit-
UK. That's the only one in the history who
Would
might have been that
bloody
petty.
England that were like, no.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyhow, usually I think like an NLC blog kind of reads that the euro, they will have to have some sort of loose commitment to join the euro in a future timetable because it takes time to join the euro because you have to join them monetary.
I mean,
they're
that's
very complicated.
Again, that's for the typical. I think what they would say is they would, if they wish, they could join the euro, and Scotland would be able. They'll just negotiate a deal, but Scotland will have such an upper hand in it because the EU will be desperate for them to join.
It'll be such a power move over the UK.
Yeah.
But interestingly, if they do keep the pound. And keeping the pound, it's tied to the UK.
It is.
So the UK still has all the economic power.
I saw things that they were debating
yeah.
whether or not to establish like a
Scottish
separate Scottish pound.
But
I think
because
that's
you
a debate in
But
the
it
SNP.
has to be tied to because
Yeah.
big currency markets. You don't want to have a
No,
worthless
that's-
currency.
That's true.
I said it would be fascinating
It will be
if
interesting.
it does leave. And again, Nicola Sturgeon, when we leave the EU with the referendum, we wanted a second referendum and we wanted a deal on the table. So vote for a deal. So we vote yes for this deal, or vote no, or vote abstain, or yes maybe.
Sure.
But when she wants to leave the EU, leave the UK, she will have to create a deal because we are a giant trading partner of Scotland. But
Sure.
she's just going to put yes and no on the ballot, which
I
I find
mean,
quite an interesting.
It is interesting. I think, and again with Scotland, if Scotland went out, the UK, I think a big mistake of the anti-Brexit campaign was they made it out of Britain not having a deal would destroy the country.
Yeah.
When obviously it wouldn't. It will just make us a couple of % poorer.
Well, we make it quite hard, and it would destroy lots of business.
Overall, that's what
It'd
I
be
mean.
bad.
Yeah, and then, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't. It's not like an apocalypse thing. It's
We're not
just-
going to suddenly. England has.
We're not just
we
going to
left
start
the EU
eating
without a
people,
deal, and
you
now
know?
we have just a post-apocalyptic dystopian world. No,
But, Scottish industry and a lot of their businesses. I had a thing up. Oh, and I've gotten rid of it. Hang on, can I get it back up? It was really interesting.
Sam using the is it the thought hole from 1984? Is it called the thought hole?
I have no idea.
Where they put the old documents in and they put in the new ones.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Sam's just burnt the information. Oh no, I need to get it back out now.
I mean, so for
let's just
example,
create it, it's fine.
Scotland controls, and an independent Scotland would too, controls 98.8% of UK offshore oil.
Yeah, oil wise.
So, oil is a fairly big deal in the modern world.
Interestingly, usually when you go out and you use oil, the UK government doesn't. It gets royalties from it, but
Sure.
as we're moving away from the oil kind of world, and we're kind of becoming environmental, we do. It
could change. It depends on the advancements that happen with green energy and so forth. But my point is, there are many ways in which Scotland, they couldn't be a no deal. A no deal with Scotland leaving would really, really damage both countries. I don't think either would do it.
But I think if you look at Boris, you might just despite Nicola Sturgeon saying there's no
That
deal.
is true. I mean,
you never know what's going to happen.
I think Boris Johnson, he's many things. He's not actually stupid. It's not exactly clever, but I would describe him as cunning. And he knows if Scotland were to leave without...
Boris has got a compliment from Sam.
He's not
cunning. He's cunning.
Not a compliment.
Cunning.
It's malicious.
Cunning is like the word you describe a Disney villain.
Yeah,
in politics, I'd say cunning. You want to be cunning.
You can be cunning, but I think I would also describe him as like opportunist. You know what I mean? He doesn't really. I don't think Boris Johnson really cares about political identity.
No.
But
he doesn't have an ideological belief. He doesn't really care about
He just
Britain.
kind of says, "I'll do what I want."
He will do what serves his and his kind's interest, and I think
His kinds.
And I think he knows.
He's his own species, according to Sam.
He's
yeah,
the
it's
one
true.
Observe.
Have you seen
Boris
his hair?
Johnson.
No way.
Not on my watch.
I think he will do whatever it takes to make himself look good.
Yeah.
Well, going on
But
the
that's
theme
with
of
anyone, Sam.
opportunism, are Audi being opportunistic by bringing back Cuthbert the Caterpillar as a charity run. I support.
I heard Audi and I was
Yeah.
like,
I
the
know.
car?
No,
Aldi,
Aldi.
as in the supermarket.
Aldi, yeah.
It's just his voice.
But then we have
Say
sort of M&S, and I quite like M&S's suggestion to have what's the carrot Kevin Carrot, or not? Is it Kevin and Carrot? So like do a carrot cake, Kevin a carrot cake or something like that.
This is peak late stage capitalism. This is two companies slogging it out in a legal battle over a chocolate caterpillar cake.
We're excited.
M&S have a trademark on it, so
That's true.
But the thing is,
legally
like,
it's a strong case.
No, I'm not saying
But
that.
the
It's
fact
just
is,
hilarious.
like, every British shop has a Colin rip-off. Like, you've got Curly, you've got Charlie, you've got bloody Wiggles.
I saw this
It's not
thing,
quite
and it was
common.
all the caterpillars
Yeah.
in like a semicircle with Cuthbert, and they were like, the council will decide your
Oh
fate.
yes. But I must say, they could be doing it just for purely the PR reasons. It's brilliant advertising for both of them.
is.
For PR, Aldi's done amazing.
They
have you
have.
seen
The
that? They've been
tweets
popping
on-
off.
I know, but same with M&S. The tweets back and
Yeah.
forth between them. It's been brilliant for PR. I think it's a PR brilliance in a way.
Yeah.
I was in M&S today, and there were lots of Collins on the shelf still.
The thing
So
that
obviously.
blows my mind is that we live in a world where people are willing to spend money to determine who owns the right to a chocolate caterpillar cake. That is insane. Who? Someone at M&S woke up, suddenly had an epiphany seeing this Cuthbert the caterpillar, and was like, "Oh my god, it's the same!" And then they rushed out and they started to leave. It's
the thing
it's
is,
wild to me.
the other supermarkets that have the caterpillars, so every other bloody supermarket, have like changed the colour of the face.
I don't.
Or like change the
Some aspect, yeah.
They should be
Yeah.
like, no, mine turns into a butterfly eventually. You just have to wait.
Yeah.
When you open the box, it goes to a butterfly. Oh, honest. Oh, that one just didn't work. Must be a default.
He died in the
So
cocoon.
are you Team Colin or Cuthbert?
I'm Cuthbert all the way, man. Definitely.
Same. Probably.
Oh, I like traditions.
I do
Obviously,
love a Colin. I love the little Collins.
I've got nothing
Have you had a
against
little
Colin. It's just, but
I think Colin is the better name overall. Colin the
Yeah,
Caterpillar.
Colin's better than.
It
I'm
rolls off
surprised
the
to
tongue
hear you say
better.
that, Archie. I always thought you would name your first child Cuthbert or something
No,
like
it's going to be called
No, because
Thirstus.
Thirstus.
Caterpillar's quite. He wants it. The design is simplicity,
Sure.
so you don't want a
Why
long,
don't they say it's
laborious name.
Cuthbert's actually a worm?
Yeah, or call him like Cuthbert the crawler.
There we
or
are, the
whatever.
packaging.
Okay.
Cuthbert the worm. Would
This
you
is-
buy that cake,
This
Prisha?
is a side note. Right. So my mum's calling me right now. Hello, mother. She's not listening. And she phoned me a couple minutes ago, and I said, "We're still recording. What's wrong?" And she's just decided to phone me again.
That's so funny. She wants to be on the podcast.
I said, unfortunately, we don't have phones.
That
Yeah.
is a shame.
But I must say, we are very, very lucky. We must say this to be able in here today, speaking to you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
might not
it wasn't
happen
quite
for a
sure
while.
when we come into studio, so we don't know when we go back. We might do some Zoom things, we might not. It
Probably
was a bit. It wasn't the same.
No.
Because you have to jump onto like multiple Zoom. It just get.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the same. Much more fun in person.
Not worth getting your conk out.
This is
No.
fun.
You guys find this fun?
Yeah, literally.
Where's all this fun? You're not getting
She's
paid.
phoning me again.
That's a me. Respect the persistence.
Well, I think that
on that point,
on
British
that
needs to answer a call.
yeah, but
I sent it as a text
It
message
must be
as well.
important. It must be.
I'm
Surely.
so confused.
it's fine, Bridget. We can
We'll wrap it up.
Looking at kind of the
If
COVID
she phones again,
COVID
I'll take
situation
it.
here. What are our predictions? Do we predict a fourth lockdown? Do we predict more restrictions?
I mean,
Do you think we're going to be here next week?
I think right.
Schools.
Call me
What do
crazy.
you think's
I
gonna
think
happen?
they'll close the
call me
schools,
crazy.
but kind of keep everything else open. So it's not like a full. They'll kind of go back to the restrictions we had last week, kind of thing, where you can meet up with people. Sorry,
do you
but
wanna take
called
that?
you. Oh my god, Donna.
Yeah. So you think we can meet up with people still?
Yeah. Maybe not as many people, but kind of like what's it called? Deck chairing.
Oh, but that reminds me of Howard's Diane Abbott maths mistake. Did you watch? Did you watch everything?
No, I
It said
stopped
myself
watching everything.
and 5 other people can go and visit 5 other people, making 11 rather than 10. It wasn't quite on the same level
Yeah.
as 800,000 for 30,000 police officers.
Look,
Um,
she's not good at maths. Can't be denied. That said, she's done a lot of good work,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna.
Anyway, going back to our lockdown, I think that there's definitely need for some sort of restrictions.
Yeah, whether it's face coverings
But-
in school, social
I
distance.
don't see
whatever.
what's wrong with
But-
mandating. You mandate face coverings. Well,
Yeah.
yes, it's hard to police, but the odd time the police capture someone, they get fined.
Mm.
You're more likely to then have face coverings because they do.
Mhm.
They have been proven to stop the spread of the disease. So I think
Yeah.
that's quite useful.
I mean, no,
But
I don't.
I went on a walk a couple of weeks ago in the
Yeah.
Arbor, and it was before I think all the deck chairing had begun, or it was just as it began, and it was like our Plate City.
Yeah.
But there were people who were clearly not from friends, all in one car in a confined space. You think there's no way you could just not even wearing
Yeah.
masks. I just thought, great. I didn't get the number plates. I didn't report them. I'm not like that.
No.
I
But-
must confess it was me. No.
Yeah, it was.
all
I
Asian.
saw
My-
Brisha and Sam just
My
sitting in
friend
that
and
car.
we parked
Yeah.
like a space apart
Yeah.
because it was really cold outside, but we put our windows down
Yeah,
and we just
between
shouted to
over
each
2
other.
meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So at least if you're going to do that, wear a mask or distance 2 meters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening, follow the rules. Don't
Yeah.
be dumb because it will.
Also, the rules specific to your country if you don't live
Yeah,
there.
don't follow PolitiBabble
Yeah.
rules. follow your
Yeah.
government's rules.
But
Don't be silly.
Unless
Sam.
in Russia,
Yeah.
rebel.
come
I
here.
don't think we'll be here any longer now, Sam.
Great.
I
you've
mean,
got
we
the
invited
Russian
Putin on the
spies
show and he didn't come, and I'm still upset about that.
the Novichok's arriving in the post.
Yeah.
I can tank it.
But I think that does wrap us up quite nicely.
Mm.
It wraps me up, certainly.
we may be here next week. We may not be. If
Fingers
we're here
crossed.
next week, yeah, that will be brilliant. If not, keep re-listening to this every single week. That's
Yeah.
our task for you.
Yeah.
You must re-listen to this
Oh,
back to
we
forth,
didn't mention
24/7.
last night or this morning, whatever
Ooh,
the time
ooh,
difference
ooh,
is.
we'll
The policeman who killed George
Oh,
Floyd was
great.
Fade out the
news.
music. We have more content.
was charged or was
Well,
convicted?
he's been charged and
I
he's
don't know
found
what the right
guilty,
to
but he's
have-
yet to receive his sentence.
He's being
Sentence,
convicted.
He's
Is
being
I think
convicted,
I actually
yes.
have what he's
legal
been found
terminology.
guilty of
I
here.
haven't
think.
watched enough Law and Order to know the.
Okay, so he's been
correct
found
term.
I
guilty.
don't like these secret dramas because you watch all the fact checks after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just appear to be. They're not so shouty in court
Yeah.
as you expect.
I've only watched Legally Blonde. I'm sorry.
Suits was interesting.
I
like that.
I need to start Criminal Minds. Have you watched Grey's Anatomy?
I haven't no.
It's
Guys,
amazing.
Grey's Anatomy is great. I am about to read out what the murderer
Oh,
was
yeah.
sentenced for.
We're very appropriate here. aren't
So he was sentenced for second-degree murder,
Mhm.
third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. So he's facing anywhere between 14 to 40 years, I believe,
Yeah.
in prison.
we? I think the average is about because it can be served concurrently.
Yeah.
The average because he has no previous criminal
Offender,
convictions
yeah.
at 12.5 years.
12.5,
Yeah,
is it?
that-
Oh,
that-
okay.
Well, that's what I saw on the past the where most people our age probably learn their news on the Pastel Instagram posts, which have all this
That's-
information on. Which
Yeah.
I saw someone's story posted about 14 of the same one just going through the post, and I thought,
Mm.
well, we can read the posts.
Yeah.
Thank you for posting.
Thank you.
You know, we
Yeah.
like to know the news, but we don't need.
Do you guys agree with the
ridiculous-
charges? Do you think he should have just been charged for murder, or should
I mean,
it
well,
be
yeah,
second degree?
he killed the guy.
I'd say
um,
it's definitely unintentional murder if you were to put it down to anything, because I don't think he was.
uh,
Murder is
I don't think-
premeditative, so we
Well, this
can't
is-
have- it's manslaughter.
it's a tricky
way.
line because it's like On the one hand, he's like, yeah, I don't think he woke up in the morning and was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to kill George Floyd. But I do think that, George Floyd was on the ground and he made the choice to put his knee on his neck and push down.
He still can appeal, so
Yeah.
it's not probably the end of this.
Personally,
case.
I would count it as murder. Let me put it to you like this: if we got into a fight and you were on the ground and I put my knee on your neck and pushed down until you choked to death, I think you would count that as murder.
I
Well,
wouldn't,
he'd be
'cause
dead.
'cause I couldn't.
I think
But
your family
as a
would count that
witness-
as
I
murder,
couldn't.
is the thing. But so that's my perspective.
Well, that's if
Yeah.
you planned to go in the fight and you planned at the start of the fight. I gotta just get rid of Archie. I'm fed up with his conservative spouting.
Anyway,
Anyway.
this has been PolitiBabble.
Yes.
You've been PolitiBabble.
Yeah,
And
so-
kisses. Stay safe.
If
See
we
you
are,
next
if
week.
we are here next week, do enjoy us.
See you next week, JK, unless.
If not, you can enjoy by listening back to our previous podcast on manxradio.com/podcast/PolitiBabble, and you can find our whole previous selection. And you can even listen back to Series 1, our original over Zoom podcast, which you can find on anchor.fm/PolitiBabble. You can listen back there.
I would not recommend it.
No, but if you want to and you're a PolitiBabble hardcore fan, do feel free. So that's it from us here at PolitiBabble. Get in touch at PolitiBabble on literally everything, and cheerio!
Big
Bye.
shout out to June Watson for wishing me a happy birthday.